engaging in a really fascinating, interesting conversation that hopefully will add clarity to a process that all clinicians are engaged in. And it's about communicating and being effective. And in the implementation of Montgomery, potentially developing a lens that would help in the engagement and dialogue that Montgomery requires would be beneficial, I think, and potentially exciting. And it's also an enabling, it's an empowering, it's an equipping conversation. Thanks.
Thank you for that. So I'm going to hand back to David, who I believe will hand back to Ashok. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Of course, I can pass the baton quite quickly, and Ashok seems to be mute. But since you've involved me, I mean, I would like to be involved in the progression of this. My view is that there's an A missing from the C's, and that is autonomy. That's always been central to my understanding of healthcare, and what a clinician or a non-clinician involved in health is trying to do, is trying to create autonomy. Although that does have a C in it, that might be helpful. But I think we've got a few minutes, so I think the best thing would be to hand over to Ashok and see what Ashok has to say, and if he wants to invite us in any more discussion.
Yeah, thank you. So really, the network leads are Laura and Varian, and I think they've made their pitch to ask colleagues who've attended today if they wish to take this forward. And of course, as the Centre Director, I very much welcome that. And David, I'm sure they will want to engage you in that going forward too. There are obviously other members out there who couldn't join us today. And I think putting a call out to all through the Collaborating Centre, Laura, would be very appropriate, I think, and would be very happy to facilitate that, including our colleagues from CAPE, of course, who may well be interested. So it really remains to me to say, well, look, in summing up, I think most of these discussions are brought to life if we have something based on a particular patient. And so I really want to start by thanking George in absentia for providing the real focus for our discussions and making us think about a particular patient with a particular condition at a particular time, and then being able to generalize the lessons from that. And I hope, Laura, you'll be able to pass on our thanks. And I want to thank Laura and Varian for putting things together, and then for Varian for coming up with a proposed framework. And of course the framework on values-based practice itself as a background is also helpful, because it's only when people are first aware that values are at play that you can then think about how to involve those in decision making. And Stephanie, I want to thank you for bringing a perspective from both public health as well as from your background as an occupational therapist, and the commentary has been really insightful. And David, thank you for chairing us and steering us through that, and of course to Mihir for supporting the background and reminding us when we've missed things on the chat, etc., and keeping us to time and running along. But most importantly, I want to thank all the participants, because if you found this as interesting as I have, and certainly when we challenge ourselves on our own held views, and that we can learn from others and move on. And I've certainly learned a lot from today. So Laura and Varian, thank you so much. I'm delighted the centre was able to host this, and as we go forward, we hope that if you decide to have a follow-up and it looks like you've got some people, we would be very happy to host that physically, face-to-face, at St. Catherine's College, and hopefully that might entice some of you to travel now that we're all traveling a little bit more. But I suspect the future, Laura, is hybrid, so that we can involve colleagues even if it's difficult for them to travel. But I'm going to hand back to you, Laura, for the final word.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Ashik, for all of your support and actually all of your guidance as well as we develop this. And just reiterate thanks to the participants and all of the conversations. So that is really valuable. So the parts that we might not have picked up on, and Inga, I think your point around those with mental health issues and their inability to possibly be able to speak for themselves, or to be able to tell their story as adequately as others, or as fully as others, I think is a really valuable point, and I look forward to greater conversations about that. But yes, let's do this together, and I would love us to be able to do some of this face-to-face in St. Catherine's, because it's a great creative space to be together, to develop it together. So let's take that opportunity and offer a hybrid solution to it as well. And I'll work with Ashok to develop that. So huge thanks to David Seedhouse. Thank you so much for doing this, David. I am hugely grateful and look forward to our next journeys together. And to Verian and Stephanie and Ashok, thanks so much. And I really enjoyed it. Once the terror dissipated, it was great fun. So thank you very much, everybody. And we'll see you soon. Thank you.
It's a great pleasure, and you did great. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Laura. Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone.